Good afternoon and welcome to the show Horsepower. I'm your host Jeff Goulet, the show where four legs always beats two. Good afternoon and welcome to Horsepower. We're going to share the afternoon with Tim and Judy Grams. Unless you've been out of the country for the last 30 days, you would know that their horse, Running to Love You, just recently won the $1 million Charlestown Classic. But before we delve into that adventure, let's talk a little bit about Tim and Judy, your brief introduction into how you got into the horse business, maybe some early people that you want to credit with getting into the racing business, and just some interesting stories that you might relay. I know you were a jockey, and a lot of people may not remember that. But if we would start with you, Tim, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I started when I was probably 25. I worked for Bill Downing over in Keysville, Maryland. Bill introduced me to thoroughbreds. I went over there and helped him start colts, and one thing led to another, and next thing I'm riding along with him to come over and work on the starting gate, and went from starting gate to outriding, and then after my outriding was over, I started training.
So really it wasn't something that you wanted to do as a child?
Not really, but it wasn't long after I started working with Bill, things started to roll in my head a little bit, and I started thinking, I said, hey, I kind of like this, and then once he acclimated me to the track, I could see that this looked like something maybe I wanted to try.
So as a young man, you didn't really have any affiliation with horses?
Well, we had horses growing up. We rode horses all the time. Me and my friends would come to the races every Sunday when they had Sunday racing and go broke. And then I'd go home and wouldn't have no money for the rest of the week. But that's kind of how it got started.
And you guys have been together for how long?
18, almost 19.
And so you rode horses as a child, or what was your early indoctrination into the business?
I showed ponies when I was a kid, and we always had 10 to 12 riding horses. And my grandfather had race horses, and that's how I got to the track. Well, when he would run his horse, we'd come down and watch the horse run. And then he'd also come every Sunday they had afternoon racing at Charlestown on Sundays then. And we'd come down every Sunday. And then one day I said I wanted to be a jockey. So I came down here and started galloping horses, and about a year later I was riding. Wow. Yep.
Tough side of the business?
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Enjoyed it?
It was never a job. It was always fun. I always enjoyed it.
I mean, I still see you out there on the pony every day. You still gallop?
Yeah, I gallop a couple. Yeah, a few every day.
You pick and choose the ones you like?
Try to get the nice ones. Yeah.
Unless somebody takes off and she's got to get them anyway.
Right, because that's a possibility at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys work together well as a team. I think people would like to know, the responsibilities that you maybe inherit at the barn versus you. I know you go to the track, you stay back at the barn area. I mean, could you kind of expound on that a little bit, like how you all decide who's going to do what, and even as far as with respect to the farm?
Want me to do that, Start? Well, just to start off with that a little bit is, we make the training chart in the evening when we're eating supper. We make the training chart for the next day. Judy gets to the track ahead of me because I'm at the farm making sure everything's okay there and dropping my help off. So when I get to the track, if something's got a temperature or Judy don't like the look of somebody's legs or something, she brings that to my attention, and we usually look at it at break time. Judy supervises everything at the barn. I usually go up with all the sets and unless I got to go breed mares or something like that, then Judy takes the horses up to the track. But she oversees all the help, and I try to watch the racetrack mostly.
So I mean, it's a team effort.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be an invaluable asset to you to have her at the barn.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many horses you got. As a trainer, you cannot keep your eyes on every horse all the time. It's impossible.
Yeah, see who ate and didn't eat, and see who's got a temperature, who's coughing or snotty nose or
It's not doing good.
just not doing good.
Yeah.
So I mean, the effort you two put forth, I mean, being together constantly, I mean, is it 24-hour-a-day horses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, you'd be kidding yourself if you said it wasn't the reason that we've had some success.
Right.
Without her down there paying attention to all these details that I don't get to see, or they're not brought to my attention, we wouldn't be successful.
So I mean, a team, I mean, that's exactly what you all have together, 18 years together. It's a team effort at the barn. It's a team effort in your marriage. I mean, when you walk the shed row, are you looking for particular things in the morning, maybe feed left over in a feed tub, or
Yeah.
just telltale signs that you as a horse person pick up that someone wouldn't?
I always check, always every day, the first thing is walk down the shed road, check to see if everybody ate, ask the grooms, is anything, are shoes okay, everything, ask the grooms if everything's okay, make sure everybody's there that's supposed to be there.
After every set, then you come back to the barn, Tim, and you guys kind of verify where you're going out with the next horse, and if maybe you had to leave one behind, and if one didn't eat, you may not train that horse that day.
Yeah. Or she might take it off the list, think I've been training it too hard anyway, and says, I want to walk this in the day. I said, all right. So it does happen. We talk about what we're training, and in the evening a lot. She says, hey, I think you're being too hard on
I mean,
this.
it's a 24-hour-a-day business.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when we spoke before and we had the opportunity to go out to the farm, you guys were out there breaking babies at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We got a chance to see. I was really excited after the horse won the Kentucky Derby, because you've got a New Year's Day out there, or a couple, don't you?
One.
So that's very special. But talking about special, let's touch a little bit upon Moonlit Song, who she's got a real soft spot in my heart, and I know she has to for you guys too. I mean, multiple stakes winner, you guys bred her. Could you just kind of talk a little bit about how special she's been for both of you?
Well, she's been really good. I mean, we brought her along. She was slow coming along for us, kind of was a heavy type filly. It took a while to get her fit, but once she got fit, because we wasn't impressed early on.
Huh.
But once she started getting fit, then we said, hey, things are changing here. We can see something here, now and then. After that, things just kept rolling right along, and she just got better and better.
I probably put in the top 5 of fillies and mares that ever ran here at Charlestown. Her consistency was just unparalleled. Now she's now in foal.
She's in foal to a horse in Kentucky, Jimmy Creed, and she's at Woodline Farm down there, Bo Lane's.
Bo Lane's been a friend of yours for years?
Long time, yeah. Matter of fact, I bought It's Only Money from Bo Lane a long time ago.
And Jimmy Creed, you won with a Jimmy Creed at Laurel not too long ago.
We won a maiden special weight there, and we were second and third in a couple of allowance races until she got an injury.
Up top by a length and a half.
Nice filly.
Quarter in 23-2. A reasonable pace being set here by Jackie's Notion, but a West Virginia bred horse of the year stalks her every step of the way. Moonlit Song just a length back now from second. Anna's Bandit drafting in behind the leaders, and they've opened up 4 lengths on Scottish Dennis, then Rockin' Gold. Romantic Cork put to a drive, Lies and Scandals slips through an opening on the inside, and My Sweet Charity at the back. It's Jackie's Notion, and Moonlit Song now asked to pick her up, and here she comes. The half in 47 seconds flat. Jackie's Notion in for a fight with Moonlit Song. Anna's Bandit still in with a chance too. She's third and a length and a half away. Moonlit Song strikes the front. Jackie's Notion tries to hang on and go with her. Anna's Bandit down the center. Moonlit Song. Here comes Anna's Bandit. Anna's Bandit and Moonlit Song. These two to decide it. Anna's Bandit. Anna's Bandit's gonna get up. Anna's Bandit and the X-Men, Xavier Perez.
Did she always have that stout physique even as a young horse?
Too stout.
Yeah,
Really?
She really had a hard time
She
getting
was heavy?
fit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just come in, and I backed off for feed before we come to the track, but it was hard. You almost had to starve her.
So it wasn't like she was an athlete, she was more like a bodybuilder type.
Yeah.
Huh. And right now you guys have bred her. Who did you send her to?
We bred her to Jimmy Creed
Okay.
at what farm is that at? Honey?
Spendthrift.
Spendthrift, yeah.
Okay. And you had a Jimmy Creed winner in Maryland not too long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, filly that Junior Little bred
Okay.
was one of his, and she broke her maiden down there first time, and that's kind of what got us looking towards Jimmy Creed a little bit, because it wasn't long into her training that she just had that wow factor. I said, whoa. I said, this one's all right.
Do you expect her to, how do you feel about that, the two of you? Because I have a lot of people will tell me that they don't like broodmares to race a lot. They like them to be, but then you see the successful ones that win graded stakes go on and be great producers. I mean, is there a set formula on that? It's just so individualized with who you breed and who you breed to?
We try to match our mares up with the best stallions that we possibly can afford to breed to, and that match the pedigree. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, just like with Moonlit Song, for example, we knew this was going to be her last year.
Okay.
She come out this year and she won an allowance race. We run her this winter at Laurel, and she was placed in open stake down there behind Javier's filly. But we knew that we wasn't going to run her past 5. Unfortunately, in the last race that we ran her and she ran second, she ended up chipping a knee. So come back, had some heat in her knee. Judy found, so we looked it over. And it was an easy decision to make after we took a picture. So we're going to breed her. Still happy, and she's still sound. A couple of days after the race, you couldn't even tell there was a problem, but we knew we had one.
Up the backstretch they go, and Sister Aim sets a swift pace. 23 seconds flat that opening quarter. Moonlit Song sits 2 lengths behind in second. It's a gap of 4 lengths back to All Flatter and another 6 to Spanish Moss, who picks up the chase from fourth. Bees Wild Cork begins to unwind from the back. Just outside of Jackie's Notion in the trailer is Rockin' Gold, the half, in a bruising 45-3. Sister Aim is tackled by Moonlit Song. All Flatter watched it all unfold in front of her and comes after this West Virginia bred champion who's taken the lead. Moonlit Song will have to fend off All Flatter in the stretch. Moonlit Song with another gear, and she struts her stuff in the stretch. Moonlit Song, a dominant performance. She wins it by just over 2 in the end over All Flatter. Spanish Moss and Jackie's Notion. The final time, 1:18-2.
Now you guys have significantly taken the West Virginia breeding program into your hearts, and it's part of, I mean, if you maintain a string of 40 horses, you're probably going to have 35 of them that are West Virginia bred.
Mostly, yeah.
Was she an easy mare to train?
No, she's hard to ride and hard on herself.
Yeah, real good feeling. We
Okay.
come back and forth with the pony all the time, because when she was on her game, she was like riding a bull.
Now, was she one of the first fiber songs that you had?
I'd say that's the first one we raised, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, did you find something in her that made you go on to get the eventual great horse that you have now, Running to Love You?
No, what happened there was Leslie Cromer had given us a horse a couple years prior to us getting Running to Love You. And we won a couple races with him. What was his name? Love Him and Run? Or?
No, it was
that's
the
the
mama.
mother.
It was a peak dancer.
Yeah.
Dancing something.
Dance for Love, I think, yeah. And we won a couple races with him, and Tim liked him. And he said, does Leslie have anything else out there? And we called and asked her. She said, yeah. She wanted to give us to him, and then we said, no, we don't want you to give it to us. So I don't remember exactly what we gave her for it, but
And that turned out to be
and that
Running
turned
to
out
Love
to be
You.
him. And then when Tim was breaking him, he was really hard to break. He didn't know if he was
tough.
going to get it done or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, every day I would come home. She said, "How's things going with the gray?" I said, "Not good." But after a while, it was probably a couple months, and he had me scratching my head. I mean, I mean, back then I felt like I could ride one pretty good. And
Right.
he had me wondering. And one day we was in there, me and my man Doug at the farm, and the breaking point with him was when I had him in the round pen and asked him to go a little bit, and he went to humping and bucking a little bit, and he run my knees into the panel. So then, with fear, and he pissed me off, I went to him. And then he did 2 or 3 big deals, and then started riding after that. But he was a hard horse because he was so athletic. It was hard to correct him a whole lot.
He's a good sized horse, but his physique is more athletic, wouldn't you say, than like Moonlit Song, who's more muscular?
Yeah, he's just more streamlined. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. He's got a different looking body.
Well, I'll tell you,
style.
folks, if you have been out of the country or you're not a West Virginia resident, you really don't really know what Running to Love You has meant, not only to the West Virginia breeding program, but to the state in general. I had to wait a few minutes after the race because I had to compose myself. And then after talking with you all about it, it was an emotional moment in that
really
winner
was.
circle.
That's for everybody.
Well, we went into the race with expectations, but to see it really unfold and see it happening, it was hard to believe. We liked our horse, but when you go up against horses like the Todd Pletcher, John Service, and all them guys had, you're up against it.
Still 3 wide in third. Unbridled Ron runs along in fourth. Then comes Nanoosh and Something Awesome. Mongolian Groom dropping back. Then War Story, Discreet Lover, and Imperative. They head to the 3/8 pole, and the West Virginia breds in front. Runnin' to Love Ya has taken the lead from Diamond King, who fights right back along the inside. Rally Cry comes under pressure. Then comes Unbridled Juan, Nanoosh, Something Awesome, and War Story. Back up top, Runnin' to Love Ya and Diamond King slugging it out. Rally Cry is all in from third. Then Unbridled Juan, Something Awesome, and War Story running on from behind. Runnin' to Love Ya's in front. Diamond King going to make him earn it in the final furlong. Runnin' to Love Ya, trying to run into the history books. Diamond King along his inside. These two to decide it in the classic. It's the Gray Rocket, Runnin' to Love Ya, and he makes history. The West Virginia bred has won.
Well, like you have said in numerous publications since the race, it was a humbling event for you.
It really was.
And you've remained humble, both of you have, even though you won $1 million race, because we could probably go through just about every barn on the backside and find no one that's done that. That's quite an accomplishment. That's a tribute to you, as you just alluded to, the fact, the way that horse was, whether you even thought you'd ever get him to the races. And he continues to be a little bit of a tough guy.
So far this year, I don't know if it's with he's a little bit older. We've changed a couple things with saddling, but I tell you, he really seems like he may be turning the corner for us a little bit. He really seems to maybe be mellowing out just a little.
Do you guys get a lot of pressure to potentially run that horse out of town in a big race, or how do you kind of feel about that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm sure that you've gotten those type of phone calls.
Yeah. A lot of people have asked, and the racing secretary at Maryland called him. And then even other people around the track ask us about what race. Even they say, are you going in this race? If you're going this race, we're not going in that race, and stuff like that.
And that would probably be a major dilemma for you all, because shipping might not be one of his fortes.
Yeah. We shipped him once to Laurel and run him, and that's ended up he got hurt. That's just coincidence, but he actually was good to saddle in the paddock down there. Had a little bit of a problem at the gate, just because one of the reasons that would keep us from going out of town maybe is just because the starter, everybody at Charlestown has worked with us a lot with this horse.
Yeah.
They know that he's they showed him a little, he's got a personality that not everybody can get along with.
Right.
So, they've worked with us, and, although he's getting older and I think he's mellowing out a little bit, if I can't get things to go right, the last thing I want to do is take him somewhere and end up with him hurt.
Right.
So I don't want that.
And anyone that knows you all knows that you all put your horse's welfare first.
Yeah.
What about the future for Grams Racing?
Well, it'd be nice if the future was as bright as it was this year. But even if it's not, even if there's a little bit of light, we're happy and we're happy doing what we're doing, and we're blessed that we've been so successful.
And you had another first-time starter win just the other night that looked pretty impressive.
Yeah, got a couple 3-year-olds that we got coming along that looks like it's okay. So we're not in too big a hurry to run Big Gray, really.
Well, I certainly want to thank you all for coming by, and later on today we have a guest, and maybe Tim, you could talk a little bit about barrel racing if you have the time here right now, because we have a lady named Bobby Jo Schwartz coming in later, and barrel racing's not my expertise, but I know you enjoy it. That's one of your pastimes.
Yeah, we used to do it when we was kids early on, because there wasn't no roping up where I was at. Now we went to roping, but it takes a lot of dedication. We watch it on TV all the time. It's a chance. Them girls can make a lot of money barrel racing. Fast
That's
horses.
something you've ever tried?
When I was a kid, yeah. No, I haven't done it since I've been an adult.
It's hard now, as busy as we are. I mean, we both. She likes to go do agility with the dogs. I rope a little bit, but it's hard when with foaling and everything that we do. It's hard to get away to do a whole lot.
This is your all's busiest time of the year, I would
Yeah.
suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly am glad that you took the time to come and visit with us today and kind of enlighten us a little bit about what's going on with your life, and certainly great success in the future for both of you.
Thanks, Jeff.
you.
Appreciate that.
Thoroughbred horses are best known for their careers at racetracks, but not every horse finds success in racing. As in any sport, some athletes find themselves getting too old, some get injured, some were never really born for it in the first place. Such was the case with the gelding Lion of Mine.
Get there, Windsor Legend crossing the blues, tail of a comet on track late, Windsor Legend, tail of a comet, streaks home a winner. He looked hopelessly beaten turning for home, and he got up just in the nick of time.
Over the course of his 5-year career, Lion of Mine missed the winner's circle again and again.
Right is strictly the one to catch turning for home. Lighthouse Reef comes up to the outside of Tail of a Comet, but there is no doubt about the winner here. Reserve the right, and Wesley Ho wins geared down by 5 over Tail of a Comet, then Lion of Mine and Lighthouse Reef. Dominic's
And
back.
again.
It's Waking Dream, Upperville in between, Lion of Mine on the far outside, but Waking Dream still there. Lion of Mine out in the center of the track. Waking Dream got it.
Claiming 5 seconds and 7/3 out of 46 races. But on June 22, 2017, that changed, and Lion of Mine claimed his first victory. It would also be his last.
And they're off. Early Bop and Let's Dance Jack, the first 2 away with Hello Kanan from the rail. There's Lion of Mine also in the vanguard as they race onto the main track. Early Bop to the outside of Let's Dance Jack. Those 2 sprint 2.5 lengths clear of Hello Kanan in third. Then Lion of Mine, Handsome Weaver, followed by Charitable Vic and Mini Bolt at the back of the pack, 7 lengths away from Let's Dance Jack, who has the inside and the vagina. Oh, we had a spill there on the backstretch. A spill on the backstretch. Number 1, Hello Kanan, went down. Also, Mini Bolt collected in the event as they race midway around the far turn. Both horses are up and running around the correct way. The quarter in 22 and 3. Early Bop has taken the lead. Handsome Weaver to the outside. Lion of Mine and Let's Dance Jack. It's Early Bop, Handsome Weaver to the outside. Handsome Weaver, Lion of Mine in between. Lion of Mine to the front, and Lion of Mine in start number 47 to win it by 1.25 lengths over Handsome Weaver.
Trainer Chris Keller had already determined that as soon as the race was run, he was going to let the gelding retire. After all, racing careers rarely last longer than 5 years, and there was no way that the gelding, who had struggled this long to make it into the winner's circle as a maiden, was going to compete in non-winners of 2 races. It was a sad decision, since Lion of Mine was more like a pet than an athlete to both Keller and regular rider Katie Cruz, but both knew that the best place for him was Ballycare Farm. And while it was a bittersweet moment, the decision to take Lion of Mine to Ballycare led the gelding to success in a whole new arena. Unlike some horses who require rehabilitation or extensive retraining, Lion of Mine arrived at Ballycare sound and ready to start his next adventure. It wasn't long before he was bought by Kristen Wapensky. Renamed Hot Rod Lincoln, the gelding was given the fall and winter off and then began training for his new career in hunters. Like many of the breed, he proved to be a quick learner and was entered into the 2018 Retired Racehorse Project, where thoroughbreds from across the country compete and show off their skills in their second careers. Since then, he's been building up his show resume and will soon begin training for cross-country events. And while an old man by racing standards, the 8-year-old has found success in his second career, and he and Kristen are looking forward to many more years of eventing together. It's the late nights. It's the early mornings. It's the dedication. The hours of training that led to the winner's circle. We are the Horsemen. 80 years. 4 generations. A West Virginia legacy. O'Sullivan Farms is a proud sponsor of Horsepower. Valley Equine Associates is a proud sponsor of Horsepower. With over 50 years of experience, Valley Equine provides exceptional service in equine medicine and surgery. Valley Equine Associates, where your horse's health and well-being are our top priority. Breeding, training, racing. A stable of champions, Taylor Mountain Farm is a proud supporter of Horsepower. It's a West Virginia Classic, the Golf Tournament, the Gala, and the state's top thoroughbreds vying for the chance to be named West Virginia's best. The West Virginia Breeders' Classics,